Hello peeps and welcome to the 2HL podcast, the first of what I hope will be many. Today I'm joined with my old compadre, the angry ginger himself, Mr. Stephen DeMidler.
Oh, hello.
I forgot to mention always ever over-exuberant Stephen DeMidler. We are going to do today for you the top 6 we think most binge-worthy comedy programs that are available to stream now. Or to watch now, either or. Stephen, take it away with your first choice.
Well, out of the 3 that I've shied away from the obvious ones. No
mean?
Friends, no Seinfeld, no Frasier.
Yeah, no big scary comedy programs.
Yeah, no How I Met Your Mothers, no, I don't know, Rick and Morty. One that everybody's seen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
The ones that I've got are ones that people this side of the pond may not have seen, that side of the pond may not have seen, and one that pretty much everyone's never seen. So they should be a bit better, hopefully, a bit sort of broke from the norm.
Introducing people into new comedy sort of programs as opposed to the
that's my plan.
That makes sense.
Right, so for my first one, I'm going to go with Parks and Rec, which...
Big in America, not so much over here.
Yeah, I imagine people this side of the pond have probably never heard of it. They have.
I've heard of some of the cast, but...
Oh, they've heard the cast, yeah. But, I mean, it was started, they wanted to make an Office spin-off, and...
What, you mean the British comedy The Office spin-off?
They wanted to make a spin-off of the British comedy The Office, which they made, which is the American Office. Then they wanted to make a spin-off of the American Office, which is what they were was Parks and Rec was going to be.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
But then they thought it wasn't a thing that they wanted to do, so they changed it to be a bit different, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, it still holds the whole mockumentary film style, so...
That seems to be a big thing on both our lists, I think, the mockumentary film style.
Yeah, so, that's, I think, the only thing that it kind of... That and The Office... It's in an office, kind of, set around an office, I suppose. Yeah. It's about a Parks and Recreation department in a small town in America. It sounds boring and terrible.
The title there, but yeah, okay.
But it sounds boring and terrible, but it's really, really not. It's really funny.
I have to admit, hand on heart, it's not one I've really watched myself.
The first season is a bit... They're trying to find their place, but after that, it kind of goes off on one, and it's really funny. I mean, you've probably heard, or you've definitely heard of Chris Pratt. He starts in this.
Star-Lord himself.
Yes, he's a bit chubby. So when he starts in this,
it's pre-Star-Lord days when he had a comfortable body as opposed to a shredded body.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, about Series 5, he gets the whole Guardians of the Galaxy gig and suddenly becomes buff. Uber buff overnight. And they explain it away with like one line of dialogue, and then that's it, and no one mentions it ever again. So,
that's fair enough.
I mean, you've got Aubrey Plaza, who's also another... Now is just quite a few indie films and such.
Yeah.
In Scott Pilgrim, you might know her from, and Safety Not Included, which is a great film.
Also a good film, a very good film, yeah. Very indie film, but quite
yes, good. And Nick Offerman, who's my favourite character in this, plays a guy called Ron Swanson, who is the manliest man that ever manned, ever.
He is Uberman.
Yeah, he's really funny. He's like a boss of the Parks and Rec department, who doesn't like government and tries to sabotage everything, doesn't like talking to people. Yeah, he's
sounds like some of my former bosses.
He's really funny. There's obviously a few other people, mostly people that used to have been on Saturday Night Live or comedies shows like that.
It's like the original comedy cast coming down from Saturday night again as usual. Then
I mean, a couple of them have. Yeah, I mean, there's Aziz Ansari, who's a stand-up comedian, and
he's in a few films these days as well, isn't he?
Rob Lowe's in the later ones. You might know who Rob Lowe is.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, Rob Lowe, a great fancy boy of the early 90s.
Yeah, so there's a fair few people in it, and it's I'd say it's good. I mean, good for the whole family. I mean, the outtakes are pretty blue, but the rest of it, I think you could watch.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of blue.
You could watch it with your gran, probably, your parents, if you wanted to. Yeah, I don't see this being offensive. It's just quite funny, and yeah. Some of it's bizarre. I mean, the Chris Pratt stuff. Chris Pratt and Aubrey Plaza play a bunch of idiots. I mean, everyone's an idiot in this, to be quite honest. But they're more so idiots than anybody else. So, yeah, I think it's good. I mean, it's 7 seasons, which is
it's quite a lot of binging. Yeah,
125 episodes total. So, yeah,
well, I mean, that's quite impressive.
you might struggle to get through it all, but
it might take 2 binge sessions. Yeah.
I'd give it a go if you've never heard of it before and fancy something new and funny.
Well, I happen to have a statistic here that I researched just for this purpose on my excellent Batman notebook, because I am that old-fashioned. Currently sitting at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, Parks and Rec. So that's a pretty good idea of how good it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first series got a bit slated, but after that it rocketed up, and they kind of figured out where they wanted to go with it and took it there.
Yeah, so it's well worth sticking through the first series to get through the rest of them.
I'd say so. The first series isn't even that bad. You know what I mean? It's like your average American comedy series, and then after that it goes a notch above.
Goes off the rails from the normal then.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the first series is just like, you know, like a How I Met Your Mother type.
A generic comedy series then. Not bad, but not brilliant.
Yeah, and then, you know, after that it goes a notch above and becomes pretty good.
Yeah, that's all right. And how many binge-o-meter score would you give it out of 10?
A binge-o-meter, I'd say it's a solid 7.
Ooh, a bit lower than I expected. A 7.
I mean, the only reason I'm docking it at some point is because there's 7 seasons and 125 episodes, and you're not going to be able to binge that in.
Yeah, it's not like a.
It's going to be a few sittings at least,
is it? Yeah, that's understandable.
So you're going to binge it over a couple of weeks, but it's well worth it, I think.
Yeah, okay. So a nice 7 on the binge meter to start off with. That's not bad, mate.
No, not bad at all.
Jolly good. Well, there you go. There's the first one to go and look at. It's available to stream, I would imagine. I think it's on Netflix, isn't it? I think. Everything's on Netflix. It's either Netflix or Amazon.
It's on one of them, definitely.
Yeah, go and check it out. Right, I'm going to jump onto my first one. Sticking with your idea of going slightly left of field from main comedies, I have the TV series based on the movie of the same name, What We Do in the Shadows.
Nice.
It's an excellently, very cleverly well written, again, mockumentary of life in a coven of vampires in 21st century America. Now, from that title, you'd expect it to be like generic vampire tat, really. No sparkly vampires and all that, but it definitely is not.
No, definitely not.
Written by and occasionally starring, obviously, Taika Waititi. You may know him from Thor Ragnarok as the director of Thor Ragnarok. And also the voice of Korg, don't forget, one of the best characters in Thor. Yes. I think. And Jeremy Clement of the Mighty Boosh.
You mean Jermaine Clement?
Jermaine Clement, that's him. Jermaine Clement. Can't read my own writing. Jermaine Clement. New Zealanders, but very, very funny.
Yes. Chaps. I mean, it's got... Jermaine Clement was in Flight of the Conchords.
Yes, that's right. It wasn't the Mighty Boosh, it was the Flight of the Conchords. That's what I was trying to remember.
It was in the Flight of the Conchords, and this has overtures of Flight of the Conchords. So if you like Flight
very
of the
much so, yeah. Although not as, how can I put it, not as weird as Flight of the Conchords.
No, I mean, the Flight of the Conchords is a bit more weird and cringy. This is more of a normal mockumentary kind of comedy.
Yeah,
because you can't. I mean, there's a bit cringe in there because there always is going to be, but
Yeah,
it's about supernatural vampires, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. It's going to be slight cringe, isn't there?
yes.
I mean, as I say, both actors actually do guest appearances in the TV series as opposed to the film, because in the film they're the main characters.
Yeah, you should probably do the background on the film because the film is about 3, maybe 4 vampires that are. There's another mockumentary set in New Zealand about New Zealand vampires.
It's three normal vampires and then that really old, scary one that everyone's afraid of.
Yes, and then
in the cupboard.
In the TV series, there's an episode where all 3 of those vampires appear in America.
Plus some other special guest appearances as well, by the one and only Wesley Snipes via Skype.
Those cameos were proper top notch.
I mean, Wesley Snipes reprising his role as Blade, the vampire, via Skype on a dodgy internet delay connection is a bit of genius writing that you don't very often see these days. It was absolutely fantastic, and kudos to Wesley Snipes for actually doing it.
Yeah, as I say, I'm surprised Wesley Snipes even did that, but I suppose he needs all the money he can get.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Now, especially if he was in prison for tax evasion or whatever it was. But there is spoilers, and I've already put a precursor to the spoilers at the beginning of this podcast. But the vampires are also helped by a very soft familiar who turns out actually is a relative of Van Helsing.
Yes.
Now, if you know your history, your vampire history and lore, you will realise that Van Helsing is the person that goes around, hunts and kills vampires and Dracula. So you can imagine that there's quite a bit of amusement in there, especially as he keeps accidentally killing vampires to visit them. It's quite amusing. There's also werewolves in it as well, don't forget.
The werewolves are great.
Werewolves are hilarious in it. Again, brilliant writing. It's fantastic writing. It's very dry and witty, the humour, I must admit.
Yeah, I think the actors in it are I say relatively unknown. 2 of them are quite known in England, but they're all British actors. I mean, the 3 main vampires are British actors. The other 2 are American, I think.
Yes, don't forget the 4th special vampire that lives in the house.
Yes.
He's an emotional vampire.
Yeah, but I think, is it... I can't pronounce his name. He was in... 4 Lions and was the phone jacker. If you're of my age, you might remember that.
If I'm the phone jacker with his mask on and things like that, he's the main vampire.
He's an Ottoman from Turkey.
Yes, he is. Ottoman warlord turned vampire. Has been around for obviously quite a while.
Yes, and then there's Matt Berry, who's really good at doing. Well, just shouting, really.
Yes, he's got a very shouty English voice, hasn't he?
He's very good at shouting, yeah. So
if you Google him, you'll see all the things he's been, including things like Stephen's going to be commenting on.
Yes, I mean, the next one.
He's in that, yes.
I'm going to comment. He plays that. He's in that for a couple of seasons. So.
Yes, he is, yeah. But, so this series, currently 96 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, it is pretty proper funny. I mean...
Yeah, it is. It's laugh out loud. Spit your Diet Coke all over your trousers. Funny.
Yes, I think there's one season. There's second season's just come out.
I was going to say, the second season is out now. I think it was broadcast on British television in the last over lockdown. I think so. It will be available to stream now, I would imagine.
Yes, I would imagine so.
Definitely, with only been 2 series as well, it's definitely easy binge watching one.
Definitely. So, out of 10 binges, how are you going to give it?
I'm definitely going for 8 binges on this one.
8 binges. Oof.
8 binges because, it probably isn't everybody's taste.
No, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I mean,
if you like the generic comedies, then it's not going to be your taste.
I mean, if you're a fan of The Big Bang Theory, I mean, you can probably do one from this podcast, to be quite honest.
I like The Big Bang Theory. Well, I like some of The Big Bang Theory.
None of it really is. None of it's the same humour.
Definitely not the same humour as The Big Bang Theory.
And as far as I know, there's no laugh tracks in any of these either. So
no, I don't think so because I can't picture any laugh tracks on any of these. So we should be fine then.
I hate laugh tracks. Awful.
Canned laughter. Mwah! Insert canned laughter clip 3 here.
It's shocking. I mean, how Why? Why do you need it? Is it so the audience knows when to laugh?
Yeah, basically, I think it's to get the audience
surely
laughing
that just
along.
means that your jokes are shit if you have to tell the audience when to laugh.
Well,
right?
yeah, it goes to show that the writers have no faith in their actual writing, doesn't it? So
yeah,
but that's why film different to a live studio audience is always better.
I mean, yeah, possibly. I just I don't like any of the crowd noises.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, go on to the next one, Steve. On to the next one.
On to my next one. This one is probably known from the people from Britain, but not elsewhere. It's called the IT Crowd.
It could definitely be classed as the uber British comedy.
It's it's basically two IT nerds in the basement in a big company get a new boss who doesn't know anything about IT.
I don't know why that relates with you, Stephen.
Yeah, crazy. I know. I mean, being an IT nerd myself, it hits quite a lot of the marks, to be quite honest. The famous "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" down a phone.
Well, to be fair, that is generally the general response of the IT department.
I've lost count of the amount of times I've done that at work, to be quite honest. So, yeah, I think it's really good. I mean, you've got Richard Ayoade, who if any Americans are watching this, probably don't know who he is.
They might do, because I believe there was a failed American attempt that actually had Richard Ayoade in it, because they couldn't find anyone to play Richard Ayoade.
But as it's a failed attempt and they only did a pilot, I doubt they didn't.
That's true.
I mean, he's been in a couple of Hollywood films. He's weird looking. So you probably, if you see him, you'll know who he is.
Wasn't he in a film with Ben Stiller? I want to say it was in the Watch, where the
something like that,
invaded
aliens,
Costco or whatever it was. He was in that, so yeah, check it out. You might
don't check that out. It's a terrible film.
I happen to be a fan of B movies. That's like a modern B movie.
He did this. I mean, he's written and directed a film which was pretty good. It was called Submarine. I don't know if you know it. It's about a Welsh kid. Anyway, and there was also Chris O'Dowd, who's more well known, I would imagine, in America, since he did Bridesmaids.
Yes, of course, Bridesmaids. Yes. But did he not do an American accent in that?
Probably, but you know who he is. He's an Irish bloke with curly hair. I mean,
of course, yeah. But I was just trying to remember whether it was a memorable accent or whether it was a terrible accent, so I forgot it.
I think.
Also, don't check that film out. That film was pretty bad.
It was okay.
They had a woman pooping in a wedding dress. I mean,
it was okay. But yeah, that's it. I mean, from all the people you'd probably know, as we alluded to earlier, Matt Berry's in it for a couple of seasons as the son of the boss who runs the boss runs a company called Denholm Industries. So you get a guy called Denholm who runs the company, and something happened. I can't even remember. About 2 seasons in, and he.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think he
died.
He jumped out of the window.
Spoilers. And
so I've given the spoilers one. They've got away with that now.
His son inherited. He was Matt Berry, who then went on to be the boss for the remainder of the seasons.
Wasn't his name something like Denham Renham?
His surname's Denham, as in Denholm Industries. That's where they work. But I can't remember what his first name is, to be quite honest. And I mean that's it, really. I mean it's because it's an English show. It's like 6 episodes a season, I think.
Yeah, it's not a lot. I'm just looking up at my wall of DVDs, and I think I've got the box set somewhere. And it's like
4 seasons, 24 episodes. I've got.
Yeah, it's the usual British comedies seasons.
Yes,
not long.
But I mean, also there's a few appearances from what's his name? He plays Richmond. He was in the Mighty Boosh.
I know. Yeah,
Noel Fielding.
Noel Fielding, yes.
Noel Fielding, yes.
Richmond the Goth, yes.
There's a few appearances from him which are quite funny.
Goth the boss, you mean?
Yes. So yeah, I mean it's really good. It's a very good piss take of life in a corporation. Or at least I would imagine, because I've never been in a big corporation before. But it's definitely
true to life.
definitely a very good. It hits far too many nails on the head, and
it's
far too close to home. As
it's
being
very much so.
an IT in an IT department, because I've definitely done that. So yeah, I'd definitely give it. I mean, there's a few for a few bits in there which are like proper good. Like they take the piss out of you wouldn't steal at the beginning of a
the
film.
piracy.
Yes, the video piracy warning.
Yeah,
where they get a bloke steals a policeman's hat, kills the policeman, shits in the hat, and gives it back to his widow.
I remember it well. Yeah, she wouldn't then give it back to his wife.
Yes,
I remember that, yeah.
And then steals it again. Yeah, I mean that, and there's they do it to piss take of the new fire number, where instead of being 999, it's 04735747 or something like that, and it's
make it easy to remember. Yeah.
Yes, and fire extinguisher that was made in Britain that just sets on fire. So yeah, there's many things in that I'd say is, if you're even a little bit nerdy, you should probably watch that. I mean,
it'd be so many references in there to
there's
nerd
tons of
culture and
stuff.
things. Yeah,
tons of stuff, and it's just about two nerds being awkward when they're not at work. They're obviously socially awkward, and
when they are at work, they're socially awkward.
Yes,
as in a desk bunny. And
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it turns out that these two guys are good at IT but really socially awkward, and then the boss is really terrible at IT but socially adept.
Yeah.
Mainly because she's a girl, and everybody else in the company seems to be women, so they kind of get along.
I did actually make that connection, but a lot of the employees are female in that.
They are. It seems to be all females in the sales and whatnot. So yeah. Definitely give it a go. It's proper good, and it's a lot better than The Big Bang Theory.
Go on then. What's your Binge-O-Meter score for?
I'm going to give that a solid 9 out of 10, because it's only 4 seasons, 24 episodes. You could probably knock that out in 2 sessions if you're feeling crazy.
Easy. You could do it all day Saturday binge and just get like pizza delivered to your house and you'd be sorted, wouldn't you?
And it's really, really fucking good.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, there's no complaint from me on that one. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It is, however, only at 84% on Rotten Tomatoes currently.
Yeah,
Perhaps that's because it's not really marketed towards the Americans at all. It's very much.
I mean, 84%
British humour is
still 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb or whatever, I would imagine, which is probably up there with The Godfather. So, it's not terrible.
Wow, did you just compare the IT crowd to The Godfather?
No, but I imagine The Godfather must be a high 8 point something, right? Or maybe 9.
I guess it's in the 9s. It's The Godfather. Hey, we're not talking about The Godfather. That's a different.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that 84% is not bad. You're going, it's only 84%.
Yeah, compared to Parcel Red, which is 93, that's almost 10%.
Well, that's just Americans being biased, isn't it?
Wow. Okay. Okay, you heard it here first. Rotten Tomatoes is biased towards American comedies. There you go.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for that. Let's see if we can get a lawsuit out of that one. Cheers, mate. Right, I'm going to go on to my second one now, which is an American comedy, so Rotten Tomatoes should like it a bit more.
Probably will.
It's, of course, the excellent and always funny animated Archer.
Oh, yes, that's a good...
Everybody knows Archer. They must do, because it's just so massive in general culture, not alone pop culture and nerd culture, of which we, of course, are a part of, Stephen, aren't we?
Yes, and the fact that it may be just my Netflix, but it appears on the front page of every single time I go on.
All the time, yeah. It pops straight up. We watch Archer. Continue watching Archer. Start Archer. But yes, it's brilliant. It's basically James Bond, but American, more alcoholic, and a little bit more sex pesty.
Yes,
and then you have Sterling Archer.
I think he's about as alcoholic as James Bond. At least it's Sean Connery, James Bond.
Oh yeah, Sean Connery. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah,
but yeah, it's a spy agency run by
his mother.
His mom. Yeah, and
who's an ex-spy herself.
There's literally one competent person in the entire company. The rest of them are fucking idiots.
There's a competent person?
I'd say Lana was competent.
Oh, yeah, true. Fair enough. Yeah, she's pretty competent. Pretty good shot as well.
Yeah, so other than that, it's him bumbling his way through.
Basically cocking up every mission, but managing to win most of the time anyway.
And then it gets a bit weirder the more series you go on, because they stop being because the spy agency is called ISIS.
Yes,
right?
Which I think they had to change the name after certain things came out called ISIS.
I would imagine it's named after the Egyptian goddess.
I would hope so.
And then ISIS became a thing, like the Islamic State ISIS.
Culture, yes.
So they had to rename it, but instead of renaming it, they just kind of binned it off.
They just went completely off book.
And started to do other things, like he became an Indiana Jones type for a bit, and then he became
as well,
a Miami Vice type.
This was a lot of it in his head. Don't forget. Remember, he was in a coma after he got shot.
Yes, but I mean, it's just I think it was a really good way, because I think the spy thing could have got dry after a while.
Played out a little bit.
There's only so much you can do, and then they got to that point, and they went, "Well, we've still got some good ideas, but
how do we?"
Yeah, so
it
changes from being a James Bond into being an Indiana Jones, into being Miami Vice, into being...
Don't forget, 30s noir detective as well.
Yes, so they just, like... they get to one point and they go, right, well, everyone who's with us is going to be still with us no matter what we're doing, because...
Yep, same characters and everything,
Let's just take the piss out of X genre, Y genre, and they do, and it's still... really funny.
It's hilarious. The writing's brilliant in it, I must admit.
Yes, and
it's very meta-based as well when it does that as well. But voice acting is fantastic. H. John Benjamin, who you may know from obviously like Bob's Burgers and things like that as well. Basically the same voice, because they even take the piss out of Bob's Burgers by waking up
when he
cooking
Bob.
he turns into Bob because he's got the same voice. It's a brilliant episode.
And it has the kids, his kids are in it, and they've got it's all the same voice actors.
It's all the same voice actors to just change it to the Archer style of animation, don't they?
Yeah, it's proper good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy program. Don't forget, of course. I mean, one he is a spy for several series. His arch nemesis is an ex-employee of ISIS who turns into a Russian cyborg.
Yes,
I mean. That's definitely some Cold War stuff going on there. It can't really seem to pin down what era it's based in either. It's like modern day to Cold War era to don't overthink it. I think that's the problem.
I think it's meant to be like late 90s, early 2000s, but it flits around a bit.
It does a bit. I mean, because let's face it, all the cars are driver from the 60s.
Yeah, and then there's that episode where they're in like a blimp.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like the Hindenburg. And
yes, the new future of air travel takes like 6 days to cross the Atlantic.
Yeah, but then again, they've got super sniper rifles and cyborgs, so I think you just take everything with a pinch of salt and just roll with it.
Yeah, as I say, don't overthink it. Just sit there and relax and enjoy the comedy and the hilarity, and sometimes again the cringeworthiness of it.
Yes, he is proper cringe.
Of course, I mean, you've got an excellent supporting cast as well in some of the side characters. I mean, my favourite side character has got to be Krieger, hasn't it? Krieger is a genius. The possible...
A crazy Nazi scientist, you mean?
You mean the crazy Nazi scientist who's possibly a clone of Hitler, you mean?
Yes, that guy.
That's the one, yeah. I mean,
I like Cheryl, who changes her name every...
Cheryl, Beryl, Querrell.
Changes her name every episode, and is Cheryl Tunt, who's a billionaire
glue sniffer.
Yeah, she's a trust fund kid, but has got a job as a secretary, and she's just mental. yeah, and of course there's Pam as well, the human resources person who he's a fights at the weekend. Fighter, yeah. That's. I mean, it's pretty damn good. You have had some pretty big guest stars in there as well, of course. I mean, Christian Slater as the CIA agent, and it was brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, I mean, it's a massive. I believe actually, correct me if I'm wrong, internet, because you're always good at that. September the 14th, I think season 10 is being released. Oof, season 10.
when he comes out of his coma, which is a bit weird because I seem to remember, I think season 9, his next scene in his coma dream was like the start of an Aliens version. Of genre. Coming out of the stasis pods and things. It's been a long time since I watched it, I must admit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the internet will correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I was quite looking forward to that one. I wanted to do one more before they came out. I want to see in space, no one can hear you be an alcoholic.
There'd be a lot. That would be great. I mean, there's so many sci-fi shows and films.
It's just an endless list you could take the piss out of, isn't it?
I mean, Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, just, Aliens, Predator, all of that. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there's another 5 series for you. Another 5 series to print money, isn't there, really? I mean, that would keep us nerds happy. I don't know whether the general public would watch that. Probably so, because they've all seen the films anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, as long as you ate things people have seen,
Yeah, I mean, as long as people can laugh at the
and everybody's seen Indiana Jones, so that that's that sort of thing is easy to.
Everyone's probably seen 30s detective sort of things as well. I've read the books and things.
They've definitely seen it mentioned, haven't they?
Oh yeah, in reference again, they probably know about it. So yeah.
I'll watch LA Noire.
LA Noire, yeah, good film. Again, we're not doing film, Stephen. Stop trying to distract me. We'll save that for another random film pod.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so yes, that one 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. So your American bias thing seems to be
definitely working. Yeah.
But Binge-O-Meter, get the old popcorn swinging. Where do you think the Binge-O-Meter should be?
I'd say there's 1 million episodes of it, so you're gonna have to binge again, like Parks and Rec. You're gonna have to binge it over several weeks. So that would take it down some, but it is pretty fucking good. So
that was my thoughts exactly. That's why I went for an 8.5.
An 8.5? We're going to put points in it now, are we? God.
Yeah, I couldn't make my mind between 9 and 8. 8 seemed too low, 9 seemed too high because there's 1 billion episodes. So I went for the middle. It's good. I designed the Binge-O-Meter anyway. I can make the rules up.
Fair enough. Okay, so my third one is somewhat linked to your last one.
Yes, it is.
As it shares the same producers. This was done way before Archer. This series came out in the year 2000, so Jesus, 20 years ago.
Thank you for that. It's 20 years?
Yeah, we were teenagers.
I do feel old now. Thanks for that, mate.
And it ran from 2000 to 2005. It's called C-Lab 2021.
If you're looking for me, you better check under the sea.
Yes. So this is the first time I saw something like this, and I think a few of them all came out at the same time.
I mean,
at Cartoon Network. I think there was
Cartoon Network. Yeah. I think they sort of coined the genre, really, didn't they?
Yes, but this is basically there was an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon called C-Lab 2020, which was about hippies under the sea saving their
this year.
Oh, some rubbish like that. So
nothing worse than underwater hippies, Steve.
Yes. So basically, obviously, that TV show didn't do well because it's about underwater hippies, and no one wants to watch that shit.
No one ever watched that as a child, did they?
Adult Swim bought the rights to C-Lab 2020 and used the animation and redid it as C-Lab 2021, which is everybody in C-Lab has been down there for a year and they've all gone a bit mental.
Yes, I remember you actually introduced me to that TV show, Stephen, and I thank you for it because it's absolutely off the wall bonkers.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, it gets crazier as it goes on as well.
I think as it got more popular, they just went, hell with it, we'll just write anything and see what happens, and it just seemed to work. Yeah,
it's great to see they showed the original Hanna-Barbera animations and then trying to weave a story into it, and then as it goes on, they add their own animations, obviously, because there's only a season version of it, so they can't.
It's very hard to reuse Hanna-Barbera cartoons for like 5 series.
I mean, I was gonna say if there's more than one season of the 2021, then they could probably done it, but there wasn't. So
yeah, you can spot it now these days. You spot it, and like you can see the arm drawn on to make him do something. When obviously the original cartoon he didn't do anything, but
Yeah, so you've got it starts. You see that 2020 was there's an eruption underground. We got to seal it, and there's some people dumping rubbish. We got to go and help that. See that 2021 is the captain lost his happy cake oven, and a giant squid's got it. So he's telling his crew to go on a suicide mission to get it back because he wants to make cupcakes with a 20-watt bulb.
Yes, that's pretty much. That's a very good way of summing up the entire 5 series there.
Captain is by far my favourite character. Unfortunately, the voice actor dies halfway through the season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in end of season 2, he died. So they replaced his character with a guy. They do a job interview, and this bloke is a Texas football coach who's never done anything to do with C-Lab or C ever, but they hire him instead, and he takes on the mantle as crazy captain guy, and he's voiced by the original captain's son. So there you go.
Oh, okay. There's a good bit of general
bit of trivia
knowledge there, but yeah, well done.
And Eric Estrada, for those of you who are quite old, would know who he is from Chips. He's in he voices he's meant to be the engineer. He's just basically a sassy Hispanic bloke who's really buff.
He plays it very well, actually. Yeah, buff, sassy Hispanic bloke. Yes, obviously we are not old enough to remember the original Chips, Stephen, but we have seen it on reruns at times.
Unfortunately, yes, we spent many an hour watching the A-Team and the 70s Airwolf and shit like that. So,
70s and 80s reruns.
We've definitely seen it before. But yes, this goes for 4 seasons and 52 episodes. So it's a good number. I mean, the first 2 seasons are by far the best because
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
I think
obviously the commander makes it.
Yeah, Captain Hank Murphy is literally the best thing in the show, and obviously after the voice actor dies, then
you can't replace. You can't try and dub them over.
Don't get me wrong, but they're just not at that same level as the previous ones.
I understand that. Yeah.
Before, as I was saying, I mean, this you might not have heard of C-Lab 2021. I imagine not many people have because it's 20 years old and it's a random.
It was on late at night on Cartoon Network.
It's an adult cartoon for. Yeah. Anyway, but there was also Aqua Teen Hunger Force, done by the same people.
Yep.
Came out at the same time.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Yeah, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and one with Brack. I can't remember.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. You're bringing back some old memories.
Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Yes. All dubbed Hanna-Barbera, weren't they?
Yes, they were all pretty much. They all got characters, old Hanna-Barbera characters, and made new things with them.
I wonder if they got like a group discount, or they were just like closing off the accounts. So I'll put them up for a tenner or something.
I think the Venture Brothers maybe as well.
The Venture Brothers I think was around about the same era and must have been the same people. I think, yeah.
They all got old cartoons that nobody really watched and redid them for adults, really. And I say adults, I'd say teenagers and above.
Teenagers and adults with teenage brains.
Yes, probably, yeah. They made it. It's just crazy. And every single episode, the C-Lab explodes, and then the start of the next episode, everything's back to normal. So don't go in there expecting an overarching storyline or anything. It's just random, crazy fun.
Yes, it's definitely that is the best way to explain it. It does not make any sense whatsoever. Go in there, turn your brain off.
Especially when the Bizarro world portal thing gets and the Bizarro versions of the bizarre characters is it's proper.
I forgot about that.
Proper off the wall.
Yeah, it's completely nuts. But as you can tell by our reactions, it's still funny 20 years down the line, just remembering it.
Yes, I mean, obviously prior to this podcast, I watched the first 5 episodes.
Did you now, Stephen? Is that classed as cheating a little bit?
I'll
let you off because I've been rewatching my next one over lockdown anyway, so I'll let you off.
I mean, to be fair, the last time I saw this was like 15 years ago, so I thought I best probably make sure it was still as good as I remember it to be. It turns out, yeah, it is. So
That's all right. That's fine. That's fine.
there's no rose-tinted glasses here. It's
fine.
literal.
I've no doubt that I shall binge it at some point again. Then,
Yeah.
speaking of, where do you see it on the binge-o-meter?
This is a tricky one because it's 4 seasons, 52 episodes.
So bingeable.
Definitely bingeable, but it's very niche.
I think I'm not entirely sure the younger generation would get it as much.
I don't know. I think it's just because it's just loopy.
Is it of its time?
It's not referring to things that are 20 years old. It's just it's still things that it does. Like everyone knows what a happy cake oven is because kids are still have happy cake ovens. And there's a bit where he creates a pirate radio station, and everyone knows what a pirate radio station is, even though you don't really have radio stations anymore because of streaming. But everybody knows what that is, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
When they're talking about putting their brains in robot bodies and stuff, it's all a bit weird. That's
timeless, Stephen. That's just timeless. I mean,
it's all a bit weird, but they're not referring to anything specific. You know, they're not going, this happened in 2003 and everybody should know about this. It's just off the wall craziness. So I'm gonna have to go with a same as Parks and Rec. I think I go with a 7.
A 7. Okie dokie.
It's more. It's easier to binge because it's less episodes than that, but it's a lot more niche.
Yeah.
I mean, give it a couple of episodes. If you don't like it, then just bin it off because it's pretty much just the same sort of craziness.
Same, yeah.
And then
I have on my highly technological notes here, Stephen, that it's currently a 74% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's not too bad to be fair. Seeing how quite mental and niche it is.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be lower than that. I must admit.
You can either love it, or you're going to go, "What is this shit? I don't understand."
Yeah. There's no happy medium, is there? You're either a fan or you're not a fan.
It's if it hits them right notes, then you'll be like, "Yes, this is proper top." And otherwise, you're just going to be going, "Yeah, this is a bit too weird for me." I'll pass.
I agree with you totally. Yes, that's exactly the best way to describe it. There you go then. Sea Lab 2021. Go and check it out if you're a bit weird like we are.
Yes, definitely.
Right, I'm going on to my last one now, Stephen.
Go.
I've saved my favourite till last. I've just mentioned that I've been binging it over
I may
lockdown period.
I guess what this one is.
Yes. Again, you introduced it to me, Stephen. I don't know where you found it, but thank you for it. It's, of course,
no problem.
The always famous and magical Community.
Yes. I saw it.
What can I say? What can I say? Dan Harmon of Rick and Morty fame and other things like that. He created this as well, but as opposed to being animated, this is real life. Real life.
Live action.
Yeah, live action. Thank you. I use inverted commas in the camera. It's fine. It's basically about a bunch of people from all different age ranges, all different backgrounds, all come together to go to community college for some reason or other, and they all meet up to start to study Spanish in a Spanish group, and that is about as normal as it gets.
Yes, I mean,
and then it just goes off the wall.
Some of those episodes are amazing. The paintball ones specifically are top notch.
I can't say enough about the paintball episodes. You only get one a season. You only get one paintball a season. That's all you're allowed. But themed paintball matches. I mean, you've got a cowboy theme. That was one of my personal favourites. That was brilliant. You've got a post-apocalyptic one. You've also got a Star Wars reference one as well. So all the pop culture notes are hit there again. It's absolutely very cleverly done.
Yes, I mean, the cast is surprisingly really good.
I mean, when they first came onto the scene, I think they were quite unknown actors.
That's what I mean. I think when they started Community, they got pretty much unknown actors, and
well, apart from Chevy Chase, of course.
Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase is obviously everyone knows Chevy Chase is.
Yes,
must be under a rock.
But I think after a few seasons of Community, a good chunk of them went off and did some decent things. To be quite.
Oh yeah, I mean,
one in particular.
I don't know who you mean.
I'm talking about Donald Glover. Surprisingly,
Childish Gambino.
Yeah, I would imagine he's the most successful out of the lot.
Yeah, I think he's probably done best out of it. Yeah, and I think probably his choice to leave and spoil the fourth series. Yeah, it would have been the fourth. Yeah, would have been the fourth series. I think his choice to leave because he wanted to move on to bigger things. It's probably about the right time for him as well. Because
he did. So
he's definitely moving on to bigger, better things. Yeah.
I mean, Alison Brie, who's now doing, is it Glow? I think
Glow, the wrestling, the female wrestling program.
Yeah, and is it Ken Chong? Is it
Ken? Yeah.
He's doing everything, and he's proper funny.
Yeah.
So
isn't he doing like the Masked Singer and things like that as well on national American TV now?
I don't know. It's American TV. Why would I watch that?
Anyway, it's probably upset anyone else even more. I believe actually. Sorry, I was just going to say. During lockdown, it's actually had a resurgence. People have discovered it.
It's another one of those ones that appear on the front of my Netflix every time I log in.
Well, I mean, to get the in-joke of 6 seasons of the movie, they made 6 seasons, and now there's a possible rumour of a movie being made. If you believe that, then you believe anything. But
there's been rumours of a movie being made since the 5th season. So.
Yes. So, I mean, there are 6 seasons. 5 of them were broadcast on NBC, I think, and the 6th one was streamed on NBC as opposed to being broadcast on TV. It's understandable because the writing was going off slightly by then, and half the original cast had left by then. But it's still enjoyable. The last couple of series was still amusing. They did go kind of off the wall in Series 6, as in like completely crazy turkey out of the pram sort of crazy.
Yeah,
it's enjoyable.
I was gonna say, it's the first season. It gets. It's a bit slow. It's trying to figure out what it is and what it wants to do.
The first season, it's excellent writing, but obviously it's still trying to find its audience. So it's trying to throw in jokes that wouldn't appear in the later series, but they're trying to get some normal jokes in as well.
I think they're just feeling around, see where they want to land, and then in the second series, I mean, the next 3 seasons after that, I think they nail it. To be quite
they absolutely hit it straight out of the park. It was ridiculously brilliant. So many different things.
And then, as you say, it kind of falls away from itself. I think that it's built so sturdily around that core group of people,
main cast. Yeah,
once
and then they started leaving.
Then, you kind of goosed, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've got here a list of just a couple of my favourite episodes. One being Abed's Christmas, when it was entirely stop motion. You know, with the Christmas pterodactyls and things. I mean, that was
pretty good. Yeah, I mean,
fantastic.
My favourite one that I'm thinking of is the Halloween one where Abed dresses up as Batman.
Yeah. I also like the Dungeons and Dragons episode where it was voiced over by like a Dungeons and Dragons game. That was quite good.
Yes, that was really good. That was just trying to stop it. Nerd from committing suicide or something, right?
Yes, that was. I believe they called him Fat Neil. They trying to stop Fat Neil from hurting himself, which was that's the whole idea, because obviously his name was Fat Neil.
Yeah, and
there was the Pulp Fiction one as well. Pulp Fiction / My Dinner with Andre crossover episode. That was brilliant.
I mean, anything to be fair that's got Troy and Abed in the morning at the end of it is a winner for me.
You have to watch it to understand the Troy and Abed in the morning bits, but I mean the bits at the end of the programs were almost as funny as the actual episodes themselves.
Yes, they were really good.
Probably top pick would be the multiverse episode. Remember that one?
Not off the top of my head, no, to be honest.
That's where they're rolling the dice and they've got between 1 and 6 different universes, and and then at the end they get into the evil universe where Pierce gets shot and someone tries to eat a burning gnome doll to absorb its power and things. It's absolutely ridiculous. See how it seems to make perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I still every now and again do the magnitude pop every
pop pop. Who doesn't?
I don't know why. It's just, you know, I'll be walking around and then I crack my back and I go pop pop with that pop pop. hand movements.
Because you're insane, Stephen. That's why. You're just nuts. It's yeah. I mean, there was. I didn't realise until I actually researched a bit more about how many in jokes there are as well that take a long time to pay off. In the first, second, and then third series, someone says Beetlejuice in one of the episodes. It doesn't matter which episode it is, but it's one of the episodes. There is and in the third series, when someone says Beetlejuice for the third time, someone dressed as Beetlejuice just walks past in the background. That's it. That's all you get. That's the whole joke that took 3 series to pay off.
That's yeah. Some going.
That's some definite meta, something long-winded comedy cracks. I mean, obviously, it's designed for nerds like us who look into this sort of thing to find out in the first place, because there's no way. Very rarely you'd get to pick that up watching the TV series. Maybe the binging side of it, you might see it more often. But
yeah, but people like doing that, don't they? I mean, there are weird people out there who stop films and scour them for stuff.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And as much as I enjoy films and TV, I am not that bad yet.
No, I'm not going to be there going, hopefully you won't have 10 things you missed from... Community, and then have a thumbnail on YouTube with a circle and a red arrow to points to nothing. As soon as you do that, I'm going to come round your house and slap you in the face.
That's clickbait anyway. Even I don't click on those videos.
It's terrible. Ridiculous. I mean, because it's like 10 things you missed from Avengers Endgame, and there's nothing in the background, but there's a circle and an arrow pointing to nothing.
Yep.
On the thumbnail.
It's like a universal thumbnail sign now for things you've missed.
I mean, if I could reach down the internet and punch whoever makes those, I would.
Well, that's fair enough, mate. I can understand that. Yeah. So on this one, what do you think, Binge-O-Meter wise?
It's. I knowing you're going to give it super top marks.
But I'm going to try to be fair and
I'd say
impartial.
It's going to be below Archer because it does fade. It does fade in the last 2 seasons. And
what did I give Archer? I can't remember what I gave Archer.
8.5.
8.5? That's a pretty good guess there, Stephen.
So I'd say you're going to give it about an 8, I guess?
I've actually given it the same with Archer. I've given 8.5.
Yeah, I will agree to disagree on that one. I'd give it.
I can understand why you put it a bit lower than that because it does tail off a bit towards.
Yeah, I mean Archer kind of. There's a few. Obviously, all of these shows. There's going to be episodes that don't hit the mark. That's just.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The nature of comedies, isn't it? It might not hit the mark for us, but it might hit the mark for somebody else. So it's comedies. It's up to the individual viewer. But
it's in the eyes of the beholder.
I'd say the last 2 seasons of Community, it falls off quite a bit. So
yeah, I can understand that.
I'd drop it a couple, but by saying falls off, I mean it was at God tier level, and it dropped. It's
come down to
it's dropped to just being good, which is probably a notch above everything on Netflix, anyways, because everything on Netflix is I don't know, it's all right, isn't it? Netflix in general,
yeah.
Most of the stuff on there, it's like, it's all right. I'll watch it.
Way to pass the time.
There's a few things on there that are a notch above, which we'll probably cover in other podcasts, I would imagine.
Yes, don't try and distract me again. Yes,
I'm not going to, but yeah.
What do you think of the Rotten Tomato score would be on it, though, Stephen?
Oh, I'd say it's got a proper rabid fan base for the 6 seasons in the movie malarkey.
It has indeed.
But there's also going to be some people who are going to get a bit pissed off with it.
I mean, the TV review, the TV reviewers and things like that. You know what they're like.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Slightly dips.
Because the fan thing's going to be dead eye. I'd say high 70s.
That's what you're going for. That's your final bet.
Yeah,
high 70s.
I mean, that's 78%.
Rotten Tomatoes currently 88%.
Ah, rubbish. Americans being biased again, isn't it?
Well, I happen to agree with them. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty fair. To be honest, I just thought that the critics might have bombed it a bit.
Yes, the critics, but no one listens to them anyway.
I mean, it's not artistically shot, or it's not aimed at critics, is it? It's aimed at idiots like us who like looking at stupid things and
yeah.
So yeah.
Although I mean, technically, what we're doing now is critiquing TV comedy programs.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go through all six things we've picked, I don't think any of them are well shot and, artistic or,
I could go film nerdy a little bit and talk about the dark, low shots in what we do in the shadows and things like that to give it a proper old-fashioned vampire feel from like the 30s vampire films. But I won't, because I know that annoys you.
Yeah, well,
so
I'd just say that the most of these, they're not aimed at getting critical success. I think they're aimed at being funny. And
they're written to be laughed at.
Yeah, what success came because they were funny. And, I mean, if you get the right reviewers who get that kind of humour, then they'll think it's funny and it'll get good marks. But
exactly. And don't forget, these days in the world of social media, it doesn't matter what the critics say, it's what the fan base says. If the fan base wants it back, the fan base will bring it back onto TV or make a movie out of it. I mean, it happens.
It's happened quite a lot. Obviously,
yeah.
Not for Firefly for no apparent reason, but everything else.
We got Serenity out of it, didn't we?
But yeah, I'd say they're pretty good. I think.
I think we've made some good choices there.
Yeah, lesser known comedies, especially C-Lab. C-Lab's probably not known by me.
You chose a proper right field one there, Dean.
Well, I thought I'd throw one in. I throw one in.
I remember that for next time. Next time I'll throw a peculiar one and see what results they get.
Get one from left field.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, there you go. That's our top 6 picks for slightly left field comedies to binge over lockdown or during lockdown, or whether you get locked back down again, which could quite easily happen.
For the second wave.
Read the news, yeah.
There you go.
Yes, bring on the film second wave, and Netflix is going to make even more money. But I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank my co-host for today, the delightful and lovely and always ginger, Stephen.
Thank you.
And I hopefully we'll be back again for the next one when I actually think of what we're going to do for the next one.
Yeah, that'll be appreciated.
We never know. Actually, we might be able to do it face to face at some point as well.
Crazy talk.
Yeah, like within 3 meters of each other.
At the moment, we could do face to face. It'd just be 2 meters apart.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
and you'd have to have the most wide-angle camera in the world.
I just do it through the window or something, like a weird art house film. It'd be fine.
Yes.
But yes, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to leave us a comment below in the comment section if you agree with us. If you disagree with us, please let us know what you think should be on the list. We're always happy to hear suggestions. Me more than Stephen, obviously, because I'm more open-minded than him.
Yeah, you can do one.
Don't forget also check out our social media. I'll put social media things either up here or down here or to the left or to the right or wherever. You know how these things work in the videos. It's fine. Don't forget also to smash that like button for us. Help build up the community and build up the channel so we can do more things like this and maybe even invest in actual cameras. Ooh, like modern technology and all that.
Crazy.
Also, don't forget to sub up and ding the bell if you want to as well, to let you know when we put our next podcast thing up. Was it a podcast? I've called it a podcast. I'm intending on putting it onto the podcast network.
It'll be a podcast when there's no video. I'd call it a vlogcast.
Vlogcast. I mean, I could do that because it's kind of like a vlog and a cast. Vlogcast. I could do a vlogcast. That's not a problem.
I don't know.
But so that's the plan anyway. I'm looking to hopefully put it out there. I'll put the audio up at some point to a podcast site so you can actually download it and listen to a podcast, or you can watch the video and see our delightful and lovely, well-groomed and tanned faces because we've not been outside for 5 months.
Yeah.
And well, you never tan anyway.
I'm never going to tan him. Slightly red in the face if I went outside.
But thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you again next time. So from the Ginger Whinger, it's
goodbye from me.
And from me, it's also goodbye from him. And I've stolen that bit from the 70s.
Yeah, I know. That's why I pulled that out of my arse today.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.